Okay, so when it comes to like COVID and whatnot, I mean, there's people that know about this, and for most intents and purposes, everybody who knows anything knows this is the case and thus didn't get the vaccine because either it made you worse or, at the very least, didn't do anything, didn't help you, but usually it made you worse. And you were just simply better off not getting the vaccine in most cases. Now, the vaccine itself, I think, was not good. I think it was very bad, a very bad vaccine. It was, simply put, I think, prematurely released, and they knew that, and they knew what it was going to do, and it's kind of what they wanted it to do, and it was very successful. Also, with the lockdowns, with the draconian mandates, and the forceful taking away of people's civil liberties and just general freedoms, the ability to open and operate your own businesses, the ability to gather, the ability to the right to privacy, just all taken away instantly, literally overnight, and everybody was in on it, knowingly or unknowingly, except for the ones that knew, because when you know, you can't go along with it. It's just because it's a total lie. But here they are trying to do it again so that they can steal another election. They can get the mail-in ballots, and they can, cheat again. They can cheat again. So let's see what this guy has to say.
To let establishments know that you have received the injection. This was a global marketing campaign to track people based off of their biometric activity. Like this was just 4 years ago. Don't forget this. And this guy on your screen right now, Yuval Harari, be familiar with this name. This guy works for the WEF, the World Economic Forum, who is also in cahoots with the World Health Organization. Why is this?
The World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization are the two most corrupt organizations in the entire world. And they are quite literally, as well as Bilderberg, the Bilderberg Group, those three they consist of basically the satanic cabal that is leading, are trying to take control of the entire world, all of the world's bureaucracies, organizations, agencies, socio-political conglomerates, mega corporations and their constituents. And largely they have done so. That's why they can do stuff that nobody fucking agrees with and literally just systematically oppress an entire population. It's insane too, because there's people that have to carry this shit out, right? So I wonder, who the fuck are they getting? Usually what you see is it's some of the most corrupt people, which is why, you look at the police state in the United States and just in other countries, but specifically in the United States. Well, for one, I live here. And two, it's a literal blatant disregard of any kind of laws, any kind of civil liberties, rights. It's like literally the police don't even know the law half the time, and they just straight up abuse it with impunity, and they're let off whenever they are prosecuted. It's actually ridiculous because it's a part of the system. Just like the pedophiles getting away with what they got away with, somehow making Pizzagate look ridiculous. And yeah, I know saying Pizzagate is ridiculous, even though it's actually real. It was proven to be real. That's why they had to take all this stuff down. But, we have a satanic cabal that protects and harbors pedophiles and has everybody duped. Continue.
matter. The World Economic Forum is the same organization that is telling you and me that in the future we will own nothing and we will be happy.
It's funny because they've actually said this. Hold on. And a lot of people know about this, but a lot of people don't. This Klaus Schwab guy, just by the way, is the leader. I'm not sure if he is or is not Jewish. I don't want to make any of those kinds of assumptions, but it wouldn't surprise me. Because this is what I'm saying. It's not that someone is quote unquote Jewish. Like I said, these people that are in Israel are not the actual Jews. They're not the real Jews. The real Jews are in Ethiopia currently. And look nothing like these people. But let me continue. Believe this was the one.
At this pivotal moment, I see several priorities for the global agenda. We must continue to fight against the global pandemic.
The global agenda is so interesting, by the way. It baffles me that it does not scare people, but
We must revitalize the global economy and accelerate its transition to net zero. We must preserve biodiversity by deploying nature-based solutions, and we must narrow the gap between the rich and the poor to achieve more sustainable global development.
okay, that wasn't it. But I mean, that was quite beautiful as well. I think
So,
see, and this you'll own nothing and be oh my god, a
So-
month ago, and this is kind of where people are generally. They're barely getting on to this shit. That like, this was before COVID. This was like slightly before COVID. They pretty much told you that COVID was gonna happen, and then they did everything that they said that they were gonna do, and they kept pushing the envelope. And not a lot of people have said stuff.
I've been trying to understand the driving ideas underneath this globalist utopian tyranny that seems to be developing from the top down. And I think it's driven, at least in part, by this religious vision that I already described, that you have to construe culture itself, especially industrial culture, as the tyrannical father raping and pillaging everything in its way, which is an unbelievably dangerous way to think, too one-sided. And the idea that you have to impose limits to growth on people in order to have a sustainable planet. And that's allied with a view that probably stems all the way back to people like Paul Ehrlich in the 1960s, who really believe, truly, that maybe the planet should only have 500 million people on it, or a billion, in relative poverty, or 2 billion barely scraping by, because otherwise they're going to be wrecking everything, and controlled by some top-down authority that makes bloody well sure that no one's consuming too much.
And also, just to be very clear, I'm going to end the video after this, but to be very clear, COVID was an attempt at population control, just like abortion, just like this LGBTQ movement, which has been co-opted by these people who are pedophiles and who are also quote-unquote transgender, trying to cut off your children's genitals, literally fast-tracking the process. And like, you see how many people are on board with the shit that literally barely just now are starting to say, what the fuck, this is crazy. And it's like, this is what I've seen. So way back in the day, there was like the atheism movement, and there was like in the thick of the debates, which essentially they ended at this point. The atheists had won all of the debates. And just to be clear, I think atheism is the correct view, the most correct view to have in terms of weighing it against all of the other religions, for sure. Not to say that God doesn't exist, but all of those religions are just straight up lies. And that's all atheism says. It doesn't make any claims it doesn't make any existential claims. Other than, I don't believe that this God is real, and you can't actually prove it, which is true. And it ended there. But it was weird because right after that, there started to rise up this movement of people. This is where the LGBT thing started. Then it started to become about the gay marriage thing. They started to. It's not that they pushed it. There were genuine debates going on at the time, and they were legitimate. 100%. Gay people should be able to get married. There is no problem. And there was like this whole thing where they want to call it civil unions, like all this sort of stuff. And it's just like, no. And then whenever it actually did get legalized that men and women could get married, you know, the religious people thought the fucking world was going to end, all this type of shit, and it was just fine, you know. But they kept going. They kept going and going and going, and this is where I saw that things were just changing somehow, and I didn't really know what was happening at first. Was whenever I saw it go from the gay marriage debate till suddenly, out of nowhere, Anita Sarkeesian came out of the woodwork. And you hear her, like, people don't remember that, but she was the one, in a lot of ways, that started this movement, Anita Sarkeesian. And it started with the gaming community. It's not that she was a gamer. In fact, she said on many occasions that she is not a gamer, that she doesn't even like games. She thinks that they're stupid and all this types of shit about gamers and stuff. That she wanted to inject she wanted to inject her ideology into the gaming and entertainment sphere, like movies, television, everything, and it worked. I don't know. I genuinely don't, because everybody was against it, but for some reason, certain people started to get turned. But it's like, I see what those people who got turned were saying, but I could see that they didn't see what Anita Sarkeesian was saying and doing, and the people that were. These are the people that have been keeping up with this shit for the whole time. At some point, you had Jordan Peterson join the debate. But and this is why, for some people that don't know, this is why, you know, there was such a big deal about Jordan Peterson's religious alignment. That's why it was such a big deal. That's why. It's because it was this whole thing, it was like from the atheist movement and the religious debates and all that stuff. And the thing is about Jordan Peterson, he's always a very rational person. He had the Bible series, so he wasn't here saying, oh, I literally believe in it. You know, he's like, literally, there's knowledge here that you can take it from it. And I don't really believe that the Bible was supposed to be taken, like, literally in that certain sense that people do. Although, I mean, in the literal sense, most people can't even comprehend the Bible, and thus they literally don't know how to take it word for word serious. But of what they believe that they're comprehending, it's just completely incorrect. And that's what he was saying. And so people assumed he was an atheist or at least an agnostic. But whenever he said he was a Christian and stuff, and he had a deep faith and everything, and he didn't like denying it and all that stuff, it was harder for people. But I guess people nowadays have adopted a much more nuanced view. But the thing is about a lot of the normies, they just have followed him into Christianity, which is ridiculous. I mean, just don't follow anybody in that way. Make up your own fucking mind. Like, make up your own fucking mind. And that's how we got to this point. People just follow shit that they don't fucking understand, they can't comprehend, and then eventually they find themselves a part of movements that they never agreed with, that they think is completely ridiculous, but the world that had changed the world so much that you can't really stop it unless we all band together. But the thing is, and they don't hold a lot of power, but they are in positions of power. So then what can be done about that? Well, just see through the bullshit first and foremost. That's all you can really do. First and foremost, see through the bullshit. And it's clear. And it is bullshit. Bye.